Okay, we're rolling. So welcome to devlog number 3. I don't think this is going to be a devlog, it's more of an introduction of perhaps the most important feature and variations, but it's still underdeveloped, but I want to introduce it so that people at least have an understanding of what variations is and why it exists, what it's trying to do as a program. So I'm just going to delete everything. So the idea behind variations is that it's a live music generator. What I mean by live, well, it's sort of akin to what a game is to what a movie is. So a movie is static, it's the same every time you view it and you play a game. While it has some features that are unchanging, the experience is different every time. And I think that's why I've played a lot of games, especially when I was young. I think that's why games are perhaps much more compelling to me than movies anyway. And I wanted to do the same for music. So music, recorded music anyway, not live music, I think that's a different thing, but recorded music is very much a static thing. You're listening to the exact same audio waveform from start to finish every time. And I wanted to use computers for what they're good at, real-time sound manipulation, to create music in real time and manipulate it in real time, even if you're listening to it. So even if it's 100% a passive listening experience, the experience could be different every time. It could be interesting every time. It could be very long because we can effectively create infinite changes. And we give a lot of power to the creator to be able to create new musical experiences. I think that's really what I wanted to achieve with this. So to get into it, we have a sequencer, which I've introduced before, and it's a pretty standard sequencer, but it has one feature that a lot of other sequencers don't have, and that is the ability to run something called a function event. And a function event is a timed event. I'm selecting one now that executes perfectly in line with the sequence, perfectly in time, and it can manipulate the sequence to a very large degree or a very subtle degree, and it can create new function events and effectively create a sort of musical system. So the function event, what is it? Well, it executes some script code. That script code can modify almost anything. And we have in our sequencer, we have a user API. It's basically a bunch of functions that the user can call. They can manipulate things. They can modify things in any way they see fit. There is a lot of freedom there. So I'll give you an example. First, very simple example. We have this is actually our loop. So when we play, I'll have to record because we don't have anything. So try and keep this video short too. So we'll play, we'll hit record. So see how the play position jumps back to the start there? That is actually a script that's doing that. Just jumps the play position right back to the start. So what's actually running there? I'll show you the script for that exact function event. This is all it is. So we call a create function event, and it calls into a loop end function, sets the position, which is 32 beats in. So if we run, if we check out this loop end function, it does a bunch of stuff. If it's recording, it will start a new take. This is completely user definable as well. So a lot of functionality can be defined by the user. So for instance, this function could be anything. At the moment, we're just looping, but as you can see, it will see if there's a user recording part. If not, it will just set the play position. If it is, it will stop the part. It may mute it, and then it will set the play position to the start and start recording again, which is what we just did. So that's just one example. It's a very simple example, and it's nothing to do with generative music really, although you could even create a sort of live generative piece of music just by manipulating where the play position goes every time you hit a function event, which could be quite interesting too. So I want to show you another example, and it's a bit more involved. It's still very simple. We have this programmer module, and I know it doesn't look like much at the moment, but if we click on the left button, it loads a program. If we click on the right button, you have to forgive me for this UI. I've literally spent about 5 minutes on it. If we click on the right button, it will reset the program and it will run a reset function. So before I click on that, I want to show you this program. I do believe it's this. Now, if you've ever used something called Lua before, you'll know what Lua is. It's a scripting language. Eventually I want to replace Lua. There are things I don't particularly like about it. It's okay. It's not the worst. It's probably the best option for what I'm doing now. I just don't have the time to write a scripting language. I actually did attempt to write one about this time last year, and spent maybe a month on it, and realized I'd sort of gone in the wrong direction, so I promptly switched to using Lua just to get something in there. But that aside, there's this reset function, and that just gets called when the script gets run. So all we do when we hit this button, it's going to run that reset function. And if you look at the reset function, it's very simple. It stops the sequence, sets the sequence playing false, deletes all parts after the start position, which is basically everything, sets the play position to 0, and it nullifies some of these seed and copy events, which we'll get into in a bit. So if we hit reset, this one, as you can see, it removes all the parts, and we're ready to go. So not much is happening yet, but if we look at the next function up, there is this note events received function, and this is a function that basically gets called every time a note event gets received from the user input, like the MIDI keyboard in this case. So if you look at this function, what it will do is it will get the play position, and it will start the sequence playing, and it will actually start a recording, and it will just do that on the first note, and it will also create a function event. So what does that function event do? It runs this little copy and mod function, and it sets the function event position a wee way out, I think 8 beats out. Actually, I want to make that a bit longer, I think. I'll leave it at 8, it's fine. And when that function event gets hit, we then run the copy and mod function, and I'll demonstrate it first, and then we'll look at the function a little bit more. So if I play some notes, actually I'm going to redo that. We can reset it. So if I click on this, it just runs the reset function again. I just didn't think that sounded that great. So this is not a particularly complex or even interesting example, but it starts to demonstrate what's possible with the system. So all this function is doing is it's copying the original recorded part, and every time we hit the function event, it is copying that part and it is shuffling the notes. So it's just shuffling, it's taking all of the available notes that are originally in the function event, it's just shuffling each note. It's keeping its position, but its pitch is being changed, and it's assigning effectively one of the existing nodes into some other node. And if we run it again, you can have a lot of fun with this. So it sort of gets a bit random there. You see that? So, there's a lot you can do there. I mean, this is a very simple example. It's probably not something you want to turn into a full song, but you could imagine doing something much more interesting just with the system. Being able to write your own functions, run them through a function event, and then run some API commands every time you hit the function event. And, you could run that for a while, then you could reset it, try something else. And the thing I like the most about this, and this is very much intentional with the design, was to be able to take existing sequences with a human feel that have been recorded by a human and then manipulate them. I didn't want... Now, obviously, with this system, you can create completely generated sequences as well, what people might call algorithmic music or generative music. You can do that as well, but I really like the idea of taking human sounding or human feeling and then manipulating it. So it still has the seed of the music is still human. It's very much human sounding, and that's something I really wanted to preserve. So just quickly look at what that function is doing. It's taking the part, if there's a part. I think that might be the stop condition, but it's taking the play position. It's doing some debugging there, and we copy that seed part, or the last part, I think. Yeah, it looks like the last part in this case. So we copy the last part, and then we run this shuffle notes function eventually, and we set the play position of the copy event. If you remember, the copy event down here is what calls the copy and mod function. So effectively creates a loop where the next time that copy event just gets moved ahead in time, and when the play position hits it again, it comes back and calls this function again. So that's extremely simple, but you could imagine doing something much more interesting with that. And there is a huge amount of potential there, which I really can't wait to get into as a creator. But I have to finish the app first. I don't want to get stuck on just making sequences and with an unfinished app that's kind of half-baked and not quite ready to use. So I'll leave it there lest the video gets too long. Hopefully that makes some sense. I'll probably do more videos on this topic as I develop it out, as I make it easier to use, and as I create more music with it. But I'll leave it for now. So hope you enjoyed watching, and by the way, if you like what you see, there is a mailing list on my website. Please join the mailing list and I'll send you updates, or just subscribe to the YouTube channel. I want to keep this updated fairly regularly, so hope to hear from you soon.